Hey, it's Chris and Rich from the Foiling Mag, here to do a deep dive review on the AFS Silk, which is pitched and designed by them as their surf-focused foil, really refined, really smooth riding foil. They do it in 3 different sizes. They do a 650, they do an 850 and a 1050.
So where to start with the shape of this? So this is the kind of signature shape from a French designer called Laurent Bournier. And he's designed for a few different brands in the past, I think. And in this case, he has collaborated with AFS for their surf wing. And it is it's a beautiful bit of kit. So from a kind of nuts and bolts perspective, the fuselage is fused into the front wing here. So this is all one piece, this section, which completely eliminates kind of any flex. I think there's no bolts here holding this front wing on, it's all there. That makes it a little bit challenging to travel with. So obviously if you're going to break it down to put in a board bag, it can be a little bit tricky, but I think the performance benefits kind of outweigh the negatives here. It has these tubercles, which occur on various kind of sea creatures across the front edge. And it creates a little vortex at each point, which means basically at different angles of attack, it has this really consistent feel, doesn't it? It also has these little winglets. They're not too sharp. They're kind of socially acceptable, I'd say, as winglets go. The mast system bolts on in a big socket here, 2 big M8 bolts, and it kind of clamps on like a kind of ball joint socket there. That's pretty sturdy. The whole thing is ultra high modulus. It's manufactured in France, which is quite unusual because a lot of the brands are using Chinese factories. And it's made to a very sort of high standard, I think. The tolerances are really, really small. So mast-wise, we're presented with this very elegant, ultra-high modulus 80 centimetre mast, which seems like a nice size for this kind of surfy style of foil. It's got quite a decent taper down, quite a rake at the back there. We've measured this bottom section as quite thin, so probably between sort of 13 and 14 mil somewhere. And the top around here sits at kind of 15, something like that. So it's very slender as well. The whole rig probably only weighs about 3 kilos. And you notice that when you pick it up on the beach with your board, it feels extremely light. Probably one of the biggest highlights for me of this system was how well it ran through turbulent water.
Incredible.
Yeah.
It just sliced through, and whereas a lot of other foils you might brace as you're going into that turbulent section.
Yeah.
This just kind of cut through it like it wasn't even a change.
Yeah, you didn't need to go in with any sort of trepidation. It's a very, very grippy feeling foil. It's loose in its yaw, I'd say. Like you can really kind of spin the back out on it, but it grips.
Yeah.
I think when I did the written review, I said it feels like a Subaru Impreza or something like that. You sling it into a corner and it just does it without thinking about it. It's a very automatic kind of feeling.
So long as you're riding the front foot, I found like as a feeling as a foil, all of that pressure's coming through the front and it likes you to control it from that front foot. And as long as you're engaging front foot energy, it locks and it charges through its turns. And for me, it felt quite like a snowboard.
Yeah.
Like a real grip.
Yeah, let's give you that.
And that yaw was kind of definitely something which can catch you out if you're not used to it.
Yeah.
I think if you're used to an even-footed or a back-footed foil, that for sure threw me off a few times, coming off a different foil and spending a lot of time on something which is more back foot heavy.
Yeah.
This took a bit of adaptation to make sure to plant the front foot.
Yeah. It's interesting when you see Guy ride as well, his shoulder's often quite lined up with his knee. You see that stance he has, which is quite unique, which is probably how he's adapted to that foil. As a tall guy, it's really obvious, I think.
And you can see that lets him get his performance, and the speed which he carries out of his turns that's got to be a part of it, is riding that kit.
Interestingly, on the yaw, they've set, obviously because the fuselage is integrated in the front wing, you have no option to shorten or lengthen your fuselage. So it's set for you on each model. So across the 650, 850 and 1050, there's probably, I think there's a couple of mil difference, but they've pretty much kept the fuselage length the same on all 3. So that does give a nice consistency across the range. And the aspect ratio sits at 8 for all three front wings as well.
And I'd say it's power per size. It feels really true to size.
Yeah.
It feels like the 850 feels like an 850. The 1500, its power band and its speed band feels classic.
Yeah, definitely. There's no like ego stroking early lift 680s
Not
here
at
or
all.
anything like that. This fits what it fits.
The 850 feels relatively small. The 1050 feels like a staple sort of size.
Yeah.
That feels just right. And the 650 is obviously faster, but it's going to need a lot of speed.
So how did you find it prone?
Yeah, comfortable, really good, really forgiving. And I think as you're able to ride it, it's took that adaptation to make sure you're riding off the front foot and handling it the way it needs to be handled. But it was really forgiving to white water.
Yeah.
And it's got a lot of carry as long as you're on the wave. I definitely felt that as you then glide ahead, because it's got classic sizing, they've clearly balanced its power range pretty even between the top and the bottom. It didn't pump the easiest, but it could handle a really wide speed range.
Yeah. I certainly felt winging with it where it really shone was in dodgy water states.
Yeah.
Like when it's on shore at home and there's loads of current rumbling around, but there's a decent wave. It just felt extremely sure-footed through all the crap, basically. It was
incredibly forgiving, isn't it? And when it comes down to its bottom end or its top end, when you hit that turbulent water, I felt wherever you were on its speed band, it didn't have an issue with it.
It literally plows straight through, which is a great feature. So it's certainly for people that are riding in dubious water states where it's not like a classic clean water setup, like it's definitely worth considering.
It's a great foil, isn't it? And it's really good for being on the wave. It's really fun. It rolls super loose and playful, and because of that really loose yaw, you can really chuck it about.
It doesn't shoot forward too badly. Whilst I think the speed range is good, it's fairly easy to stay in the pocket with it. It's very easy to draw the line you want to, and yeah, particularly in a dodgy water state. So yeah, we fully approve of the AFS Silk. What a terrific little surf wing system.
Yeah, great, really sure-footed on the front. Worth noting that it does sit a little bit further back in the track.
Yeah.
But if you're looking for a foil which excels in the waves, and it's going to help you progress and feel really stable in turbulent water, she's a weapon.
She's a weapon.